Hello and welcome to Mike's Garage. If you've already subscribed to our channel, thank you. And if you have not, please do. And when you do, be sure you tap on the notification bell. That way you'll be notified every time one of our new videos comes up. Today I'm putting my shovelhead back together. I've been working on this for a little while, and we've shown several videos now of the cylinder heads and the rocker boxes and things like that. There are a lot of things I'm going to do that I've shown in videos prior to this one. Some of them I like going back and doing again in case maybe I missed something the last time. But today, all I'm going to do is install the lifter blocks and lifters, valve lifters and lifter blocks. They are hydraulic lifters, and I'm ready to install them. So we'll do it now. Get myself comfortable here. Now, first thing to remember is there is a front lifter block and a rear lifter block. Now, before you install them, of course, you want to be sure that your lifters are in good shape. This is a set of Velvet Touch hydraulics, and I've run them for quite a while. I've replaced the rollers on them once, and these rollers are real nice. And they're well oiled right now. Everything is just really in nice shape. And they're ready to install. Now the first thing is there is a rear and a front. Harley marks them on the inside. They're actually cast that way. This one says rear on it. You can barely see it, but it is cast into it. Kind of hard to see with a black painted lifter block, but that's the way I like them. When I do a shovel head, I do the cylinders black, I do the heads raw, I do the rocker boxes polished, I do the lifter blocks black, and that's just kind of my trademark. That's the way I always do them. Now, one of the most important things here is this hole right here in the lifter block. Now that hole is where the oil comes through from the case. You get the gasket out of the way. And there is the hole in the case. So that hole has to be lined up. Now, quite often when I do these, I actually use sealant on the gaskets. Now, in this particular one, I got some new gaskets, and they are kind of a crush gasket. Put some assembly lube on the rollers here. It's already on the cam. I've already done all that. So I want to be sure I have, there we go, assembly lube on it. Now, there we go. Turn that little roller and make sure it's all lubed up and everything's good. This is kind of an interesting lifter block. There's a hole right here, and a tapered screw with a tapered head goes in there, and it'll keep the lifter blocks from falling out while you're installing them. I think it's a nice idea, but I took the screws out to take the lifters out once, and I just couldn't bring myself to put them back in there. I'm so used to putting these lifters in the same way all the time. So again, with the gasket lined up, and this is a kind of a fancy crush gasket, and I don't think it needs any sealant on it. You can see in the past, using paper gaskets, I used to put copper coat on them. So if I reach in here with my fingers and hold the lifters up, let me get that plug wire out of the way. I'm holding the lifters up with my fingers. I'm keeping the gasket lined up, and I'm going to drop that lifter block right in place. And there it is in place. Now, a neat little tool I have here is something that I think Jim's Machine came up with it. I don't know if they invented it or not. But it's a tapered bolt. And what it does is it holds the lifter block in perfect alignment while you put the other screws in. Now, whether or not I really need it, I don't know. But it seems to me to be a pretty nice thing. I have two of them, so I can put them both in there. And see, now I can feel the gasket is in perfect alignment. This is aligning everything in here. Now, when I go to put the other two bolts in, they're going to line right up. Get my little ratchet out here. And Harley originally used 12-point screws in these, and I like them. So when I put in this whole setup here, I put in a nice new set of chrome ones years ago. Well, that didn't work very well, did it? But of course, with a 12-point screw with a 12-point head, got to use a 12-point socket. And that is a 1/4-inch socket. But again, with those two alignment screws in there, everything just kind of drops right into place. I'm kind of excited because I'm going to have my road bike running again very soon. The pipes are on the living room floor, so I can clean them up before I put them on. Okay, so now I can take the alignment screws out. And put the two final ones in. Notice I'm always starting these with my fingers. Don't want a chance cross-threading them and ruining the holes in the case. But if the holes in the case are bad, then you have to helicoil them. That's not a bad thing, it's just a thing. All right. This ratchet's not really well broken in like the rest of them I use. Okay. Okay, the rear lifter block is in place. All 4 screws in there. And now, people would be asking themselves, how do you put the front ones in and hold the lifters up? Well, if that original screw was in this set, it wouldn't be that hard. But since it is not, I'll put it in just like I were putting an original set in. And this is something I enjoy. I think everybody knows how much I love my tools. Everything is nice and clean here, so I'm going to put some assembly lube on these rollers. There it is. Again, the cam is already well coated with assembly lube. Everything is fresh, new cam bearing. And now I can put this lifter block in place. Now again, being careful of the orientation of that hole for oiling. It's right there and it's right here. So what I want to do to keep these lifters from falling out is I have this little handy dandy tool that will hold them for me. Okay, got to get that hole in the right place. Don't ever forget that. Get this plug wire out of the way. And we'll carefully slide that into place. Then we can take the magnet out. Kind of a cute little tool. Okay, now we'll do the same thing with the alignment tool. There it is. I think those alignment tools, usually you buy one, and it was originally designed when the Evolutions came out. If you're working on an early model shovelhead, they won't fit because they're 1/4-20, and the early shovelheads were 1/4-24, and along about 1973 or 74, they just started using 1/4-20 instead of 1/4-24. So be very careful that you don't mix lifter screws. If your motor uses 1/4-24s, you better use 1/4-24s. If it uses 1/4-20s, you better use 1/4-20s. And that's how that works. So that was kind of painless. I think the first couple dozen times I did it, it was really a pain. And it's just not that way anymore. You kind of get your methods down after a while. Take the little alignment screw out. Like I said, whether those are really necessary, I don't know. I just think it's really a nice way to do it. Now sometimes, if you're not careful, what you're going to run into is your socket's going to be a little bit fat to line up with that lifter block. And that's what I'm doing here is I'm rubbing on the lifter block. Makes the bolt feel like it's harder to go in than it really is. And here's the last one. And if you can't get your fingers in there, there's nothing wrong with taking the socket here and feeling it into place. Like I said, these lifter blocks are a little larger, a little beefier than the standard ones. And there it is. All 4 lifters are now on. And everything feels good. That's it. Now I could take the spark plugs out just for a second here. I just kind of put them in there to plug the holes. I think, yes. Motor is in gear, transmission's in gear, and I can turn the engine over and watch the lifters go up and down, knowing that everything in there is happy before I go any further. So that's it. That's all there is to installing your lifters and lifter blocks together as a set. They're in, and I don't know what we'll show next, but for now, this little job is done. So I'll see you out on the road.